You know what they say about pride coming before a fall, right? Well, let me tell you about Valkyris, the single most insufferable, self-important excuse for a galactic cartographer the universe has ever had the misfortune of employing. This guy, and I use that term loosely because he had 17 tentacles and 0 personality, worked at the Galactic Cartography Institute on Thurim Prime, the place where, supposedly, the fate of entire civilizations got decided by bureaucrats with clipboards, or whatever the futuristic equivalent of clipboards was. Datapads. Sure, let's go with that. The institute itself was exactly what you would expect from a place run by people who peaked in middle management. Everything was white. Not the fun kind of white, like fresh snow or clean sheets. No, this was the oppressive, sterile, we sucked all the joy out of existence kind of white. The walls were white. The floors were white. Even the furniture was white. Walking through those halls felt like being trapped inside a very boring, very judgmental refrigerator. Valkyris strutted through these corridors like he owned the place. Spoiler alert, he did not. He was a level 9 cartographic administrator, which, according to him, was basically the most important job in the galaxy. According to literally everyone else, it meant he spent his days staring at star charts and feeling superior about it. His office sat at the end of the main corridor, behind a door that made this pretentious whooshing sound every time it opened. He programmed it that way, on purpose. On this particular day, a day that would eventually become known as the day everything went catastrophically wrong for Valkyris, he sat at his desk reviewing planetary submissions. See, here is how the system worked. New civilizations, or civilizations that finally achieved space travel, had to apply for official recognition. They filled out forms, provided data about their culture and technology, and then waited for some pompous administrator to decide if they were worthy of being acknowledged. It was, without question, the most ridiculous system ever devised, and Valkyris loved it. He scrolled through his datapad with one tentacle while using another to sip something that looked like liquidized regret from a cup. His assistant, Nimbix, stood nearby. Nimbix was Aquilian, which meant she looked like someone had crossed a porcupine with social anxiety. Her quills changed color based on her mood, and right now they were cycling between nervous yellow and resigned gray. She had worked for Valkyris for 3 cycles, which in human terms was about 9 years. That is 9 years of her life she would never get back. Nimbix, Valkyris announced, his voice dripping with the kind of condescension usually reserved for explaining basic concepts to particularly slow children. Pull up the next application. Let us see which insignificant speck of dust thinks it deserves our attention today. Nimbix tapped her own datapad, her quills flickering orange with suppressed irritation. The next application is from a planet designated as Earth, located in the Sol system, 3rd planet from their star. They have recently achieved rudimentary faster-than-light travel and are requesting formal recognition. Valkyris made a sound that could only be described as a scoff mixed with a dying vacuum cleaner. Earth. Sol system. Never heard of it. Display their data. The holographic projection sprang to life above the desk, showing a blue and green planet that actually looked, dare I say it, pleasant. Nimbix read from the file, her voice monotone. Carbon-based lifeforms, bilateral symmetry. They call themselves humans. Current population approximately 9 billion. They have survived multiple extinction-level events, developed nuclear technology before space travel, and apparently have something called the Internet. The Internet? Valkyris repeated, one tentacle hovering over the delete button. What in the name of the eternal void is the Internet? According to their notes, it is a global information network they use for sharing knowledge, commerce, and pictures of small domesticated animals. Valkyris stared at the projection like it had personally insulted his mother. They have faster-than-light travel, but they use their planetary network for pictures of animals. Pictures of animals. The notes also mention something called memes, sir. I do not care what a meme is, Nimbix. I refuse to care. He waved several tentacles dismissively. What is their technological classification? Nimbix checked her pad. Type 0.7. They are close to Type 1, but their energy consumption is still primarily fossil fuel-based with emerging renewable sources. 0.7. Valkyris let that hang in the air like a bad smell. They're barely functional. What is their military capability? Concerning, actually, Nimbix said, her quills turning a cautious blue. The report indicates they have thousands of nuclear weapons, conventional militaries across multiple nations, and a documented history of, quote, remarkably creative destruction, unquote. Every primitive species has weapons. Nimbics. It means nothing. Valkaris zoomed in on the planet, examining it with a kind of disdain usually reserved for finding something unpleasant on the bottom of your shoe. Look at them, divided into separate governments, still fighting amongst themselves. They probably spend more time arguing about borders than advancing their science. Nimbix's quills turned purple, which meant she wanted to say something but knew it was pointless. She had learned this lesson the hard way. At that moment, the door made its ridiculous whooshing sound, and in walked Cora. Cora was a Methulox, which meant he looked like someone had given a praying mantis a business degree and a disappointing personality. He was Valkaris's colleague, though calling them colleagues was generous. They tolerated each other with the warmth of two icebergs at a cold convention. Valkaris, Cora clicked, his mandibles moving in what passed for a smile among his species. I see you are reviewing the Earth application. Curious little planet, is it not? Curious is not the word I would use, Valkaris replied, not looking up. Irrelevant perhaps. Unnecessary definitely. They are a Type 0.7 civilization that waste resources on animal photography. They do not belong in our records. Cora tilted his head, which involved rotating it almost completely backward. It was unsettling. The preliminary reports suggest they show certain, shall we say, tenacious qualities. Perhaps we should not dismiss them so quickly. Tenacious. Valkaris pronounced the word like it tasted bad. Every species thinks it is special, Cora. Every species thinks it deserves recognition. But the galaxy does not run on feelings. It runs on standards. And these humans do not meet our standards. Nimbix cleared her throat, which sounded like gravel in a blender. Sir, there are several notes in the file from field observers. They recommend caution when dealing with humans. Apparently they have a tendency to, and I am reading directly here, hold grudges like it is an Olympic sport. Valkaris laughed. It sounded like someone strangling a synthesizer. Field observers are always overly cautious. It is their nature. They spend too much time among primitives and start seeing threats where none exist. He turned to Cora, with smug satisfaction radiating from every tentacle. I am going to deny this application. Furthermore, I am going to remove Earth from our preliminary maps entirely. If they cannot meet basic standards, they do not deserve the acknowledgement. Cora's mandibles stopped moving. Remove them entirely. That seems excessive, even for you. Excessive would be wasting any more time on them. Valkaris pulled up the Deletion interface, a red holographic screen that looked far too ominous for what was essentially galactic paperwork. They are insignificant, a minor species on a backwater planet in an unremarkable system. The galaxy will not miss them. Nimbix's quills went straight white, which was the Quillian equivalent of screaming internally. Sir, perhaps we should consult with the Council before taking such a drastic step. There are protocols. I am a level 9 administrator, Nimbix. I do not need Council approval for routine deletions. His tentacle hovered over the confirmation button. Any species that prioritizes animal pictures over scientific advancement does not deserve a place in civilized space. And then, with the casual arrogance of someone who had never faced consequences for anything in his entire life, Valkaris pressed the button. The hologram of Earth flickered and vanished. Humanity had just been erased from official galactic records. Cora stood there, mandibles twitching. I hope you know what you are doing. I always know what I am doing, Valkaris said, leaning back in his chair with insufferable confidence. This is why I have this position. Now, Nimbix, what is next on the docket? Nimbix stared at her datapad, her quills cycling through colors so fast she looked like a malfunctioning mood ring. She did not say anything. She did not need to. Deep down in that place where even the most loyal assistant keeps their real opinions, she knew this was going to end badly. 48 hours. That was how long it took for Valkaris to realize he had made what scholars would later call, in very technical terms, a monumentally stupid mistake. The first sign of trouble came when the Institute's perimeter sensors started screaming. Not beeping, not chiming, screaming. The kind of alarm that suggested something very large and very unhappy had just appeared in local space without bothering to ask permission first. Nimbix burst into Valkaris's office, her quills standing straight up in alarm red. Sir, we have an unidentified vessel approaching the station. They are not responding to hails, and they are not slowing down. Valkaris did not even look up from his morning report. Then activate the defensive grid and send them away. We are a cartographic institute, not a tourist destination. Sir, the defensive grid is trying. The ship is ignoring it. Completely. They just flew through our warning barrier like it was not even there. That got his attention. Valkyris looked up, several tentacles freezing mid-gesture. What do you mean ignoring it? I mean they flew through a barrier designed to disable unauthorized ships and nothing happened to them. Actually, no, that is not accurate. Something did happen. They sent us a message. What kind of message? Nimbix's quills turned a color that did not exist in her normal spectrum. Something between horrified and impressed. They said, and I am quoting directly, "You have got to be kidding me." The ship docked with the Institute 17 minutes later. Not at a proper docking port, mind you. They just sort of attached themselves to the side of the station like a very aggressive barnacle. The airlock cycled. The doors opened, and out stepped Commander Helena Ortiz of the Earth Defense Initiative. Commander Ortiz was, by human standards, roughly 1.7 meters tall, which made her average. By galactic standards, she was tiny. But here is the thing about humans that nobody bothered to mention in the files. Size does not matter when you carry yourself like you could personally fistfight a black hole and win. She wore a dark blue uniform with more medals than seemed structurally necessary, and her black hair was pulled back so tight it probably hurt. Her eyes, brown and absolutely furious, scanned the reception area where Valkyris, Nimbix, and half a dozen security officers waited. "Right," she said, her voice sharp enough to cut steel. "Which one of you cosmic idiots deleted my planet?" The security officers, 3 Kravon warriors who stood nearly 3 meters tall and were bred specifically for combat, took an involuntary step backward. Valkyris, to his credit, or perhaps his stupidity, slithered forward. "I am Level 9 Administrator Valkyris. You are trespassing on Galactic Institute property. Your presence here is unauthorized and, quite frankly, unwelcome." Ortiz stared at him. Just stared. The silence stretched out like taffy until it became actively uncomfortable. Then she laughed. It was not a nice laugh. It was the kind of laugh that suggested someone was about to have a very bad day. "Unwelcome," she repeated. "Unwelcome. You deleted us from existence, and you are concerned about whether we are welcome." She took 3 steps forward. The security officers took 3 steps back. "Let me explain something to you, tentacle boy. Earth did not ask to be removed from your little galaxy phone book. We filled out your forms, we followed your protocols, we did everything by your ridiculous rules, and you deleted us anyway." Valkyris pulled himself up to his full height, which was impressive when you had 17 tentacles. "Your civilization did not meet our standards. The decision was well within my administrative authority. Earth is a Type 0.7 civilization with fractured governance and questionable priorities. You do not qualify for recognition." "Did not qualify," Ortiz corrected. Past tense. "Because we do not care anymore." Cora chose this moment to enter the room, his mandibles clicking nervously. "Commander Ortiz, perhaps we can discuss this reasonably. There are proper channels for appeals, proper channels." Ortiz turned to face him. "Tell me, Bugman, what are the proper channels for appealing your deletion from reality? Is there a form for that? A complaint box?" "There is a tribunal process," Cora began. "Which takes how long?" "Standard review period is 6 cycles, which in human time is..." Cora hesitated. "Approximately 18 of your years." Ortiz smiled. It was terrifying. 18 years. You want us to wait 18 years to maybe get put back on your maps? Do I have that right? "The process ensures fairness," Valkyris interjected, regaining some of his composure. "All civilizations are treated equally under galactic law." "Equally?" Ortiz pulled out a datapad from her belt. "Funny thing about equality. We did some research on our way here. Took us about 6 hours to hack your public database. Do not look so shocked, your encryption is adorable. Anyway, we found records of 73 civilizations that applied for recognition in the last cycle. Want to know how many got deleted entirely?" Valkyris's tentacles twitched. He knew where this was going. "1. Ortiz continued. "Just 1. Us. Every other species that did not qualify got a probationary status. They got put on a watch list. They got recommendations for improvement. But us? You erased us completely. So, either you are catastrophically incompetent, or you are specifically biased against humans. Neither one makes you look good." Nimbix's quills had gone through every color in her spectrum and invented 3 new ones. She was frantically taking notes, probably for the inevitable inquiry that was going to happen. Valkyris drew himself up, trying to regain authority. Your tone is inappropriate, Commander. You are in violation of multiple protocols. I could have you arrested for this intrusion. You could try, Ortiz agreed pleasantly. But you will not. Want to know why? Because sitting in orbit around your pretty little station are 6 human destroyers. Each one is carrying enough firepower to redecorate this place into a debris field. We are not here to ask nicely anymore. We are here to inform you that Earth is going back on those maps. Today, the room went very, very quiet. Cora's mandibles stopped moving entirely. You are threatening a Galactic Institute facility. This is an act of war. No, Ortiz corrected. This is a notification. War would involve us actually firing those weapons. Right now we are just having a conversation. An aggressive conversation. Sure, but still a conversation. Valkyris made a sound like a dying accordion. The Galactic Council will never allow this. You are one minor species making demands of an organization that represents 10,000 civilizations. You have no leverage, no authority, no standing whatsoever. We have 6 destroyers and a very bad attitude, Ortiz replied. That is all the standing we need. Within the hour, Valkyris had contacted the Galactic Council. The emergency session was, predictably, a disaster. The council consisted of representatives from the 12 founding civilizations, all of whom had never been threatened by a Type 0.7 species before. They found the entire situation insulting. Counselor Thex, a crystalline being who looked like an angry chandelier, spoke first. This human aggression cannot be tolerated. Administrator Valkyris acted within his authority. The Deletion stands. Counselor Mervyn, who resembled an octopus having an identity crisis, agreed. If we capitulate to threats, it sets a dangerous precedent. Every minor species will think they can bully their way onto the maps. Only Counselor Ira, a gaseous entity contained in a specialized suit, expressed hesitation. Perhaps we should examine why the humans reacted so strongly. The deletion was unusual. The deletion was justified, Valkyris insisted, broadcasting from the Institute. They are primitive, aggressive, and clearly unstable. This behavior proves my assessment was correct. The Council voted 8-4 in favor of maintaining the deletion. Commander Ortiz received the news while standing on the bridge of her flagship. She listened to the Council's decision with the kind of calm that suggested someone was doing mental calculations involving payload tonnages and blast radiuses. 8-4, she said quietly. They sided with the squid. Her second officer, Lieutenant Marcus Chen, cleared his throat. Orders, Commander. Ortiz looked out at the stars, at the vast emptiness of space, where Earth officially did not exist according to people who had never bothered to actually visit it. She thought about her planet, about 9 billion humans who had clawed their way up from caves to spacecraft, about every scientist, artist, engineer, and dreamer who ever looked up at the sky and wondered what was out there. And then she smiled. Signal the fleet, she said. All of it. Every ship we have, every defense platform, every pilot crazy enough to strap themselves to a rocket. We are done asking permission. Chen's eyes widened. Commander, that is over 300 vessels. I know exactly how many ships we have, Lieutenant. Ortiz turned to face him. Contact Earth Command. Tell them to activate Protocol Thunderstorm. Back at the Institute, Nimbix was monitoring deep space sensors when every alarm on her console went off simultaneously. Her quills cycled through panicked purple so fast she looked like a strobe light. Sir, she said, her voice climbing several octaves. We have multiple hyperspace signatures incoming. A lot of them. Valkyris slithered over to her station. How many is a lot? The main view screen activated, showing local space, and there, dropping out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation, was the entire human fleet. 300 ships, carriers, destroyers, frigates, and several things that looked like humans had welded guns to cargo haulers just to make a point. Cora stared at the display, his mandibles hanging open. This is insane. They are insane. Valkyris felt something he had not experienced in decades. Fear. Because the humans had not come to negotiate. They had come to make a statement. The human fleet did not fire a single shot. Not at first anyway. And somehow, that made it worse. Commander Ortiz stood on the bridge of the ESS Indomitable, watching the Institute's panicked communications light up her tactical display like a very anxious Christmas tree. She could practically hear Valkyris hyperventilating through 17 different tentacles. Lieutenant Chen, she said calmly, initiate Operation Sharpie. Chen grinned. It was not a nice grin. With pleasure, Commander. All ships begin transmission override, broadcasting on all frequencies. And I mean all of them. What happened next would go down in galactic history as either the most brilliant act of psychological warfare ever conceived, or the most petty display of spite the universe had ever witnessed. Possibly both. Every communications array within 15 light-years suddenly stopped working. Not broken, just hijacked. The Galactic News Network, cut off mid-broadcast, personal communicators, commandeered. Even the emergency channels, the ones reserved for actual emergencies, were now property of Earth. And then the broadcasts began. Massive holographic projections erupted across local space, visible from every station, every ship, every planet with a view screen. The image showed Earth, rotating slowly, beautiful and blue and very much existing. A voice boomed out, deep, authoritative, extremely irritated. It belonged to Secretary General Amara Okonkwo, the head of Earth's unified government. Greetings, Galaxy. You may not know us. Apparently some bureaucratic sea creature decided we were not worth your time. Allow us to introduce ourselves properly. The image shifted. It showed early humans, standing upright for the first time. Discovering fire. Inventing the wheel. The progression was fast, aggressive, relentless. We are humans. We evolved on a planet that spent millions of years actively trying to kill us. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts, plagues that wiped out a third of our population. We survived all of it. The images accelerated. Ancient civilizations rising and falling. Wars. Innovations. The pyramids. The Great Wall. The printing press. The steam engine. We invented agriculture when we got tired of chasing our food. We invented medicine when we got tired of dying. We invented flight because we looked at birds and said that should be us. Faster now. World wars. Nuclear weapons. The space race. The first human footprint on Luna. We split the atom. We decoded our own genetics. We built machines that think. We looked at space, infinite and hostile, and we went there anyway because staying home seemed boring. The images showed the first human faster-than-light drive test. The successful jump. The crew celebrating. And then we applied for recognition from the Galactic Cartography Institute. We followed your rules. We filled out your forms. We waited patiently. The image of Valkaris appeared, frozen in the moment he pressed the deletion button. And this individual decided we did not matter. Secretary General Okonkwo's face filled the projection now. She did not look happy. Here is what you need to understand about humans. We do not accept being erased. We do not accept being dismissed. We do not quietly disappear into the night. When someone tries to delete us, we rewrite reality in permanent marker. At the Institute, Valkaris watched in mounting horror as the broadcast continued. Ships across the sector were receiving it. Planets, stations, the Galactic Council chambers themselves. Turn it off, he shrieked at Nimbix. Turn it off right now. I cannot, sir. They have complete control of all communications. Even our internal systems are showing the broadcast. Cora stood perfectly still watching the display. You do realize what is happening, do you not? They are not asking for recognition anymore. They are taking it. And he was right. Because while the broadcast played, the human fleet was moving. Not into attack formations. Into work crews. 50 ships broke off and headed for the nearest navigation beacon, a massive satellite that transmitted standardized star charts to passing vessels. The beacon was automated, protected by basic shields, and had never been threatened in its 200-year operational history. The humans cut through its shields like they were made of tissue paper. Then they physically boarded it. Lieutenant Kira Voss led the boarding team, carrying what looked like industrial paint sprayers and data cores. Her team moved with military precision, securing the beacon in under 4 minutes. Beacon secured, she reported. Beginning chart modification. They did not destroy the beacon. That would have been too simple, too quick. Instead, they reprogrammed it. Every star chart it transmitted would now include Earth. Sol system, coordinates, population, and a new notation that read, in 17 different galactic languages, inhabited by humans. Approach with caution and basic manners. Then, just to make absolutely sure nobody could miss it, they painted a massive mural of Earth on the beacon's hull, in colors that would be visible from 3 astronomical units away. This process repeated across the sector. Navigation beacons, communication relays, mapping satellites. The humans hit them all with ruthless efficiency. They were not destroying infrastructure. They were redecorating it. Valkaris watched his life's work crumble in real time. Every carefully curated chart, every precisely maintained database, was being overwritten by angry primates with spray paint and a point to prove. "Dispatch security forces," he ordered, his voice shaking. "Stop them. Use whatever force necessary." That was his second mistake. The first was deleting Earth. This one was going to hurt more. The Institute's security fleet, 12 well-armed patrol ships, moved to intercept the nearest human work crew. They transmitted the standard warning. The humans ignored it. They transmitted a threat. The humans laughed, and then the security fleet opened fire. The human ships scattered instantly, their pilots executing evasive maneuvers that should have been impossible for vessels that size. The security fleet's weapons designed to disable unruly transport ships hit absolutely nothing, and then the humans fired back. What happened next lasted 47 seconds and would be studied in military academies for the next century. The human destroyers did not just shoot. They calculated. They predicted. They moved like they had fought 1,000 battles against opponents exactly like this, because they had. Against each other. Humans had been perfecting the art of warfare for their entire existence. Every conflict, every battle, every tactical innovation had been tested against other humans. The galaxy had been at peace for 300 years. Earth had never stopped preparing for war. The security fleet was disabled in under a minute. Not destroyed, disabled. Every ship intact. Every crew alive, but completely unable to fight. Weapons offline. Engines dead. Life support still functional because humans, despite everything, were not actually trying to kill anyone. They were just making a point extremely loudly. Commander Ortiz watched the engagement from her command chair. "Damage report on the security fleet. No casualties, Commander. All 12 vessels disabled but intact. Crews are unharmed and extremely confused." "Good. Send them a message. Tell them we are not their enemy. We are just redecorating." Back at the Institute, alarms were shrieking. Warning lights bathed everything in red. Nimbix's quills had given up on having a single color and were now displaying what could only be described as visual static. Valkaris stared at the tactical display showing his disabled security fleet. "This is impossible. They are Type 0.7. They should not have military capabilities like this." Cora's mandibles clicked rapidly. The Mytholox equivalent of hysterical laughter. "You deleted them based on outdated classifications. Did you even read the full intelligence reports?" "The reports were irrelevant. The reports mentioned that humans had 3 world wars before they achieved spaceflight. 3. Most species barely survive 1. They tested nuclear weapons on their own planet just to see what would happen. They invented submarines specifically to fight other submarines. Their entire technological development was driven by finding better ways to kill each other. And then they turned those innovations into space travel." Valkaris felt something cold settle in his stomach. Or whatever organ he had that served a similar purpose. "How many weapons do they have?" he asked quietly. Nimbix checked her console, her voice small. "According to our scans, each destroyer carries enough armament to crack a small moon. The carriers have fighter craft, the frigates have missile batteries, and several of their ships appear to be completely custom-built for purposes our computers cannot identify." "Cannot identify?" "The closest match in our database is a category labeled experimental terror weapons. Sir, one of their ships appears to be a railgun attached to an engine. Just a gun, with propulsion." Through the view screen they watched as human work crews continued their mission. More beacons hijacked, more charts rewritten. And now, because humans apparently believed in being thorough, they were approaching the Institute itself. The first shuttle docked at external port 7. The doors cycled open. Out stepped 6 humans in what looked like maintenance uniforms, carrying industrial equipment and absolutely zero respect for authority. They made their way to the main cartography hall, the sacred space where original galactic maps were stored in holographic archives. Centuries of careful documentation. Thousands of civilizations catalogued with precision and care. The lead human, a woman named Sophia Reyes, looked around the hall with mild interest. Then she pulled out a spray can. "No," Valkaris whispered, watching through security cameras. No. Sophia began painting. Right on the wall of the cartography hall, a mural of Earth, surrounded by stars with a banner underneath that read, "Still here." Other crew members were accessing the holographic archives, adding Earth to every map, every database, every record. They worked with the efficiency of people who had practiced this exact scenario multiple times, which they had. Humans planned for everything. Valkyris tried to stop them. He sent security officers. The humans politely incapacitated them with stun weapons that were, ironically, more advanced than the Institute's own equipment. He activated lockdown protocols. The humans hacked through them in minutes. He personally confronted Sophia Reyes in the cartography hall, pulling himself up to maximum height, all 17 tentacles quivering with indignation. "You cannot do this," he said. "This is vandalism. This is a violation of every galactic treaty." Sophia looked at him while casually adding details to her mural. "You are absolutely right. It is vandalism. No, what else is vandalism? Deleting an entire planet from existence because you had a bad day. I was enforcing standards. You were being a jerk." She stepped back, admiring her work. "And now you are dealing with the consequences. See, here is the thing about humans. We hold grudges. We invented the concept of and when someone tries to erase us, we make sure they remember us forever." Behind her, the holographic archives now proudly displayed Earth in every star chart, glowing bright and impossible to miss. Valkyris looked at his life's work, now covered in human artistic expression and defiance, and he realized too late that he had not deleted Earth from the maps. He had guaranteed they would never be forgotten.